Hi, seventh grade. Welcome to day 3 of week 2. Happy April Fool's Day. It's April 1st. So you're going to take your attendance first, as always. Make sure you complete that and submit it. Then you're going to go into your student-friendly lesson. Okay? With the student-friendly lesson, there is a link that is just an additional support to show you how to make a dot plot, which is what we are learning about today. All right, so you're going to click on the student-friendly lesson, and I'm just going to pull that up for you here. So I'm looking at the answer key lesson just to go through it with you. So we are learning how to create a dot plot and make inferences by applying central tendency. Central tendency is what we just focused on yesterday when we were going over mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, so today your warm-up was what is an inference and explain. So an inference is a conclusion that can be reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. So we're going to make these things called a dot plot and then make inferences about them once they are created. Okay, so let me actually go to the student also because I feel like I need you to see it. Okay. So we're given our first question, and it's about Rosie, and she asked students on the lunch line how many books they had in their backpacks. So she recorded the data in a list, and the data was as followed. It was 2, 6, 1, 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, and 2. Okay, that's weird. Why did I make those twos like this? Let me do that again. 2 and 2. Okay, so to make a dot plot of this data, the first thing you want to do is set up a number line. Oh, I should put it a little bit lower. Okay, and then what you want to do is identify your lowest number and your highest number, because that's how you're going to know what number to start your number line at and what number you have to end your number line at. And then also if you ever needed to count by like a certain interval. But usually we want to include all of the numbers that are in our set. So I noticed that 0 is our lowest number, so I'm going to put that on the left side since that's the lowest number. And 6 is our highest. So I'm just going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I just set up a number line. The way I did that was finding my lowest number, making that on my left side, and my highest number, making that on my right side, and I filled in the numbers in between. So now what you do to create a dot plot is you take the number that's in your data. So the first one is 2, and you put a dot above the 2 on your number line, like that. And you do that for each one. So I usually like to put a little check underneath so I remember that I did it. So now I have 6 and 1. So I'm going to make a dot on 6 and a dot on 1. And then we have 0. So I'll make a dot on 0, 4, and 1. So I have a dot on 4. Now I already have a dot on 1, so when you have to make another one, you just put that dot above the other one that you have. Okay, so we have another 4. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Since I already have one there, I just make another dot above it. And then we have 2 2s to finish. So I'm going to put one dot above this one, and then I'm going to put another dot above that. Okay, so what you did is you just created a dot plot about this data. And then what they want you to do after is just make some inferences about what you see. And the way you can make those inferences is by using your new understanding of central tendency, knowing how to find the mode, how to find the mean, the range, the median. Okay, all those things are how you will find those inferences. So I'm going to go to those questions that they ask. So notice they have the same dot plot that we just made, and they ask us to find the mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, so looking at this dot plot, if I wanted to find the mean, what I would do is add up all my numbers and then divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because there's 9 numbers total. So let's add those numbers up. So we have 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 1 is 9, plus 0 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 1 is 14, plus 4 is 18, plus 2 is 20, plus another 2 is 22. So my numbers added together is 22, and we're going to divide that by the amount of numbers there are, which we just said there were 9. Okay, so I go to my calculator and I do 22 divided by 9. We get an answer of 2.4 repeating. And I'm just going to round that to 2.4. So my mean is 2.4 of the data. My mode is going to be the number that is most frequently used. So in a dot plot, it's very easy to figure that out because it's going to be the number that has the most dots above it. So looking at this dot plot, you should be able to identify the mode pretty quickly. The mode is going to be 2 because it has 3 dots above it, which is the most amount of dots compared to any of the other numbers in our data. So our mode is going to be 2. Okay, our range is when we take the highest number in our data and subtract it from the lowest. So the highest number I have here is 6, and my lowest number is 0. So the range would be 6 minus 0, which is 6. Sometimes they ask you, like, what's the span of this data? It would be the same thing. You would say the span is between 0 to 6. Okay? And then the only other one we have left is median. Ran out of space, but I'm going to squeeze it in. Okay, so median is going to be your middle number of your data. So you can do this the way that we learned yesterday, where you just arrange your numbers in order from least to greatest and then find your middle. Or you can use your dot plot and do the same kind of idea, moving left to right. So watch, I'm going to cancel out 0 because that's my lowest number. I'm going to cancel out 6 because that's the highest number. I'm trying to find my middle, so I just keep going back and forth. So 1 from my lower end, 1 from my higher end. 1 from my lower end, 1 from my higher end. And then all I have left are these 2's, but we could still cancel 1, and then look right here. We're left with our median. So our median would be 2. And if you wanted to, you could have arranged your data in order from least to greatest, but the dot plot does that for you. It's already arranged in that way. So you would just go from left to right, from least to greatest, and just keep canceling them out until you get to that middle number. Okay, so then it has some reflection questions. So it says, how are the number of dots you plotted related to the data values? Well, the number of dots that we plotted are related to the values because they're the same amount of numbers and they're representing that data just in another form. Okay, then it says most students have blank 1 book in their backpacks. So if we look at 1 and then we look at the rest of the data, we can say that most students have at least 1 book in their backpack because only 1 student had 0. Most students have 1 or more. So I would fill in that blank with the word at least. Most students have at least 1 book in their backpack. Then it says most students have fewer than blank books in their backpacks. So most students have fewer than, I would say maybe 5 books in their backpack, because if I look, there's only 1 student that had 6 books in their backpack. So majority of the students have fewer than 5 books. That's where most of our data is falling. So I would fill in that blank with most students have fewer than 5 books in their backpack. Okay, and then it says most students have between blank books in their backpack. So I would say that these 2 on the outside, there's only 1 student for each of them. So I would say most students have between 1 and 4 books in their backpack because that's where majority of my data is falling, between 1 and 4. Okay, so I just walked you through how to create a dot plot. Then you should always find your central tendency about that data because it'll help you make those inferences. And then you just go through the questions that may follow based on that dot plot. Okay, so if we continue with the lesson, I'm going to just go back to it. There's co-construct here. If you go to the answer key lesson, you'll find that those steps are there for you. Okay. Then there is a we do for you to complete, a reflection, similar questions to what I just went through with you. And then there's a you do. So your data is a little bit larger this time. The number line is already made for you, so you have an idea of how to set that up. And then all you do is you go through number by number and you just put a dot above that number. If a number already has a dot, then you just put the dot above that. Okay, and you go through, you make sure that all of your data is on the dot plot. I usually like to count my dots and make sure that I have the same amount as the numbers that I have in my set. Okay, and then like I'm just looking at this question, it says what is the spread or range of the data? Again, that's your central tendency. You just subtract the highest minus the lowest. What is the mode of the data? On a dot plot, that's going to be the number that has the highest amount of dots. So if you're looking at your dot plot, it should be pretty visually easy to figure out that mode because it's going to be the one that has the highest column of dots. Okay, and then how many players are greater than 70 inches tall? So you would go to 70 and then you would count all the dots that are included in your data after 70, because that would be how many players are greater than 70 inches tall. All right, so again, you also have the link that is with your lesson. If you get a little confused, it walks you through exactly what I just showed you and explained. You're then going to do your extra practice like you guys have been doing daily on a Google form. So there's going to be 6 questions. 3 are based on this dot plot, and then 3 are based on this dot plot. Okay, so I'll show you that. I'm going to X out of this. So again, there's your link. If you need a little extra help, this really walks you through how to make that dot plot like I just showed you. You have your answer key lesson with all of the answers to your dot plots. And then here's your extra practice. You're going to click on it, complete it, make sure you submit it, and then you have your homework for the day. Make sure, again, you complete it and submit it. Make sure these are in by 11:59 p.m. tonight, okay? Just a reminder, I'm just looking ahead. You do have an evidence on Friday, so make sure that you are keeping up with your work. Don't fall behind. If you have a question, please reach out to me. I know a lot of you are becoming very savvy with this program. I'm like receiving your messages. You're reaching out to me on Instagram through the Google Classroom phone number I set up. It's only going to help you if you reach out to me if you feel like you're struggling. Okay, so make sure you guys keep that up. All right, very proud of you guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Happy April Fools.